welcome to Scale Car Garage. Well, I do my best. I really try hard to make molds and cast cars and parts and figures that I would like to have around the track and that I think would be kind of cool. And you know, really the results aren't too bad, but I had the really good fortune of having an absolutely wonderful conversation with somebody who is a real pro at molding and casting. And when I say real pro, I mean this is the way this person made their living. That's how good they are at what they do. And you got to see the work to believe it. But I don't want to give too much away, but please join me as I have an absolutely wonderful conversation with Mr. Steve Neill here at Scale Car Garage.
No, I like you. I think you're a terrific human being. I'm glad to be here. So.
Oh, I'm glad to have you here. Well, so thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. So
I'm just watching my watch a bit because we're supposed to take the grandchildren to the park.
Okay, yeah, no, you let me know.
Yeah.
Have you got a hard stop? Because I'll keep track.
No, it's variable. Kind of 3:30 would be the cutoff. So
that's okay. That sounds good. That gives us about an hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thereabouts.
Perfect.
But you can always cut in some of these highlights for the humor of it. You know, I mean, on my show, I'm quite frank. You know, I don't hold much back. You know, you get to be this.
I love it because it's so cinema verite. It's so honest. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it and go, God, you know, but people love it, so whatever.
and as they should. It's very well done. Oh, and your track is very cool.
Yeah, but tonight it's going to get ripped up again.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully are you going to sort of, video putting it back together and taking it up and.
Yeah, it's on phone. Well, we could. Did you start recording?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, with the track, it's on insulation foam, about that thick.
Right.
And then there's a PVC frame underneath it, which I despise. I'm going to leave what I have on the foam, and I'm building a new table that I'm going to slip under it in two sections, kind of support it. Right. Kind of like moving King Ramses' tomb, we're going to put it up and put this underneath it and drop it down, because that way it's better supported out on the ends. And plus I'll have an equipment box that will hold the power supply and the controllers and a little bit of tools and a place for the lint removers to clean the tires. And just, everybody likes to make it nice and special. That's what I wanted to do. I sound like Mr. Rogers, but I just make it nicer. You just keep seeing ways to keep improving it, and a lot of that's because you don't want to stop messing with it. Because when it's just done, it's like, oh God, it's done. What am I going to do now? Maybe I'll build another track. Do I have room over there? But you don't.
But that's the great advantage, as we're saying about plastic track. You can just rearrange. Absolutely, try different things, and that's part of the fun too.
Yeah, I love my dirt track, but I can't get it home. I can't think of a way to do it. But maybe put it in the garage and then bring it in the backyard and put it on some sawhorses. They have those nice plastic ones now. I got some for my train set, but right now I'm just leaving it here. When it's in the way, I just put it on its side because it's all attached to the foam board. And but I just love that track. I mean, it's just a simple dirt track that's actually pretty much to scale to the size of the actual dirt tracks. They have very short straightaways and then the turn, and you have to drift through them. And it's a lot of fun, especially on a 55-year-old track.
Yeah, and to your point, that's how a lot of the the guys who went to Indy in the 60s and 70s, they cut their teeth on oval dirt tracks.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And I love those cars because my dad loved Indy racing, and I grew up watching them, and I got to meet all the famous drivers because he was friends with them. And
you got to hold on. I got to stop you. You got to tell us some stories then, please, about like who you met.
Well, it's kind of dim memories, but but my dad would always take me to the track. The last one I really have a clear memory of was before he passed away. I must have been 14, 13, right around in there. And it was a dirt track. And now that I really know my cars, I realized they were sprint racers, not midgets. They were Offenhauser sprints. And Mario Andretti was there. And my dad always had a pit pass. So after the race, which was very exciting, especially the mud being thrown on me and everything, I thought that was the greatest thing. Oh, cool, You go down the pits, and he knew Mario, and went over there, and he's like, "Hey, Tom, and here's my son." And I met Mario Andretti, and I can still see, I have this picture of him kind of towering over me because I was a little kid, and he's not a real tall guy, but from my perspective, oh my God, Mario Andretti, it's a god standing in front of me, I also met AJ Foyt, Eddie Sachs, I believe.
Eddie Sachs.
My dad would have these guys over to his house in Marin County because he had Strombecker track
Oh, wow.
in his house that was set up to be scaled to Indianapolis. And these guys would come over, they would burn racing fuel and put on a record and play the sounds of the cars at Indy going by and have races. And they'd all put money in this little tin thing, and they'd have heats just on the 2 lanes because that's really about all we had back then, or thought to have. There was ways to do it. But they had the 2 lanes and they'd race. And my dad was an excellent modeler, besides also an excellent illustrator. He built me AJ Foyt's Indy car. I don't know where any of that stuff is now. It's just the way it is. Like I said, I'm going to be 70 in March. It's amazing. I have the memories I have. So, but yeah. And so I was around racing a lot. When I was younger, he's always taking me to his friends' houses, and in their garage would be an Indy car or a dirt car or a midget or a sprint racer. And they would all get together, drink beer and work on the cars and then fire them up, and God, they were loud. Never bothered me.
And you grew up in California, so that was like the hotbed of, hot rods, Indy cars, sprint cars, racing.
That was my phone. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, no. And I used to go to Laguna Seca when I got older, and I got my, I went through several cars. I started in high school in 1969 with the Triumph TR3. Then I got another one. Then I got T-boned in an intersection. And then my mom, I got an MGA after that. And I drove that for around, it was always overheating, and I got tired of it, got rid of that. And then my mom got me, for graduation, she got me a Mark II Spitfire, British Racing Green. I think it had maybe 5,000 miles on it. It was practically brand new. And I loved that thing, except I was always breaking the rear axles.
Yeah.
They were the inner axles inside the diff.
Yeah, well, they had those rubber donuts, right?
Yeah, they were terrible. And I was always breaking
yeah.
them because you pop the clutch like you're supposed to when you're racing. and then it would go. And I got so tired of it, the last time it happened, I rolled it. My friend was with me. We literally rolled it down the street to a sports car repair shop that I knew of. I knew the people there. Rolled it in. I said, "I'm done with this car. How much will you give me for it?" He bought it on the spot, gave me all cash, and I turned right around with that, found an Alfa Romeo Veloce with dual Webers. And so I bought that, had it repainted black, and I drove that for a very, very long time. And then this guy across the street from my mother's was drunk one night and went cruising out of his backed out of the driveway in an Oldsmobile and T-boned it, and then didn't bother, then left the scene. So I was literally crying over that car. And it was a Babe Magnet. It was a wonderful car. It was Italian. It was ruined. My dream was ruined. I'm looking across the street and I see that Oldsmobile sitting over there, and it's got black paint all over its bumper. So I knocked on the door. The guy started crying. He offered me all the money he had in his wallet. So I don't have any money. I was just visiting my friend, and I know I was broke. I just backed away. I said, "I don't want your money." It was enough for me. crying and upset. So that car went bye-bye. And then, I don't know, I had MG 1100, BRG. I love that car. What a crazy car. It was like a Mini Cooper, same setup. And then for some reason, somewhere along the line, I ended up with a Lotus Cortina. No, I wanted a Lotus Cortina, couldn't get it because I didn't like it because it was right-hand drive. So I got a Ford Cortina GT, BRG. I wasn't real happy with it till I drove it. Oh my goodness, what a great car that was. And I was racing against TR4s and MGBs and stuff and beating them with that Cortina. As you know, the Cortina is an amazing handling car for a sedan. So then I threw a rod on it. You know, it just goes like that. I've had so many cars. But in the end, I end up with this. In 1998, I got a Z31 non-turbo, which is why it's still running. And I've had it ever since. It never breaks down. It never fails to get me home, but it's not a daily driver. It's too nice now because I had it all restored. And I just take that to the car shows. And
Yeah, you do like cars and coffee and stuff, or?
yeah, and rallies. We have rallies and stuff, which is kind of fun. You know, we don't drive real fast, but we kind of chase each other. So
Have you ever thought of replacing any of your past cars with 1/32nd scale versions of them?
Oh yeah, I've been doing it.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I even got the Fiat. I have to repaint it red to make it look like the one I own. But yeah, I've been doing. I got an MGB because I had one of those. Even had a Ferrari for a while, but that was the whole other story. That was like having a Lotus for a while. It was always broken.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It was always spitting parts out the back, and so after I got in that terrible accident, I didn't have a sports car for a long time. I drove trucks, and I got a Nissan Pathfinder. I had a VW Westphalia, I think 71. I had several cars, but I couldn't get back in a sports car because I came so close to death. And then I got tired of trucks and stuff about 10 years later, and I wanted to get a 280Z. I said, I'm going to get a Japanese sports car. And I won't have to complain about it because it'll always run. You know, I couldn't find a good one. And I found the 300ZX, which was not my favorite. But the price was good. One owner, he had all the receipts. He's a teacher. He drove from his house to 5 miles away to the school. That's all the car I ever saw. So I knew that was the car to get. And boy, I was right. It's still got the original clutch in it.
Wow, that's great. Holy cow. Well,
Yeah, and believe me, I can pop that clutch all I want and I don't break axles. But I take it easy.
That's very. Oh, that's cool. So now you started using slot cars as a kid with your dad.
Right.
Did you go away from it for a while and come back?
Yeah, I did. Well, my dad, he worked in Mare Island, which is a naval facility. He worked for an engineering firm that he was vice president of, and they worked on our nuclear subs. He was an engineer besides being an artist. And he had a very treacherous route every day in the company car. My dad was fairly wealthy, well-to-do, and he drove the company car, and he was driving this narrow road that goes out there, and it was very foggy that morning. And the next thing you knew, there was a car coming right at him, and he tried to avoid it, and he went off a bridge. Now, the guy driving the car was drunk and being chased by the highway patrol. He had no priors. It was just a one-time deal, you know? And so after that, I stuck with it for a little while, but not long, because we used to do everything together. We used to go to the big tracks, the 4 and 5, 6-lane tracks, and race, and you know, and then the girls were starting to get more interesting. And by the time I got out of high school, I was so involved in filmmaking and working in film that I kind of forgot about it. I never lost my passion for a sports car ever. In fact, I came to LA in the TR3. And ended up with a Bug-Eye Sprite, which I drove for years before I got the Fiat 850 and the OTS. But I forgot about slot cars. I really did. And it was, my late wife was really having a bad time with cancer, and I had some downtime, and I was on the internet. I said, I wonder what's going on with slot cars these days, because I always loved them, and I wonder what's going on. And so I found Electric Dreams, which is local to us, and some other sites. And I was amazed by what I was seeing, because the cars had evolved so far from what we had back in the 60s. They looked like real cars. They had all the details in the fire extinguishers, the steering wheel, the gauges. They were accurate to the actual cars in most cases, not always. And I said, you know what? I'm so miserable right now. I had to work really hard in the film business and take care of my wife, who I knew wasn't going to make it time. I wanted to cheer myself up, so I bought myself a slot car track. I got a Ninco, and I added about another $200-300 worth of extra track and built this huge track in my garage, and kind of took it from there. I never looked back. I just stuck with it. So.
Jeez, wow. Now, and do you still frequent Electric Dreams at all, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, for the most part, I get everything from them, but they don't have everything. Even though they have 65,000 slot cars in stock, and they are the largest slot car store in the world, and they're very nice. I know people there, and they sure know me. And when they can't ship something right away, they always write to me and say, "Hey, you know, we got this problem, and we've had a problem with COVID, and then we had to shut down the track and this, but we are going to get your order to." That's fine. That's all I need to know. I don't care if they take 2-3 weeks to get me something. They're only 45 minutes to an hour away from me.
Oh, jeez.
You know, but sometimes it takes a long time to get something from them. They always explain why. That's all you need. And they really take care of me. They refund shipping sometimes, and give me little extras. And so they're terrific. Then the other place I get from is Slot Car Corner.
Oh, yeah.
And then Pendle.
Oh, Pendle, yeah, in the UK, yeah.
Because they have tires, rims, body kits that nobody else has.
Right.
So in fact, the wire wheels, they're the only ones I know that really have a variety of sizes of actual wire wheels.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And they look really good too. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And I'm wondering if because I haven't talked to John Warren about it, but is he supplying them with the inserts? Because they look very similar, you know, the inserts
he might,
that they
might
have.
very well, yeah. Yeah, he might very well.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, to be honest. Yeah.
Because his inserts and the tires he made me are great. They're you know, they're just like anything you'd purchase. But what really got me about it is that for that car I'm building now, the T51 Cooper, which is an infamous car, 1959, and so many people were involved with that car, McLaren, everybody. I really wanted one, and I'm hoping people want to buy one. I mean, because they like it as much as I do, but they don't. Too bad. I just wanted it. That's the main reason I'm scratch building one right now. But I'm molding everything. But I had no idea that car went through so many variations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
tail, no tail, hole in the back. Yeah, because you kind of you basically got all the parts and you made it your own. And they're sort of wide and stumpy with the front suspension like almost up on the nose.
Yep.
I always loved Coopers.
Yeah.
So, but I couldn't get the right rims and tires for it to be absolutely scale, and I want to be absolutely scale. You know that one.
Yep.
And John said, "Oh, no problem. I'll turn you up some aluminum wheels that are correct, and I've got the right size tires, and I have the right mini lights for it, and they're exact." He says they're not, but I think they are. You know, I mean, they really are. You look at the real car, you go, "What's he talking about?" He's very modest, you know.
Yeah.
So, and he got them to me right away. That was just terrific. And plus he gave me extras. You know, he gave me extra tires, extra inserts. He didn't give me extra wheels because I know those take some time to turn on the lathe.
Well,
But,
you know what,
I mean,
that's a good example. Much like yourself, people in this hobby are just so wonderful.
yeah, they are. They really are. And I've been involved in many hobbies. I'm involved in radio controlled planes, free flight airplanes, which are amazing. Radio controlled submarines, radio controlled sailboats, and I have some big expensive ones that are really something to sail, and radio controlled cars. But I have to say, out of all those hobbies, that overall the slot car hobby has the most passionate, friendly, helpful people I've ever met. They all have it, but if you're rating them, the slot car is amazing. And everybody gets along no matter what their politics is or
Well,
political preferences and stuff. They don't really even talk about it. And even if they did, they'd say, well, John, I really don't agree with that. And they'd say, yeah, that's okay. I love you anyway. And
exactly. Yeah.
that's what a hobby like this does, is it brings people together and you have a common interest. And so the best way to create love and end war is to race more slot cars. So
Well, that's good. Well, your Cooper, and now have you got some Jack Brabham heads for your Cooper from Mark Tyler?
I might have, but I have to look, because every time I get stuff from him, he always sends me extra stuff. I have a box this big, just full of drivers and heads and creatures from movies and everything you can imagine, and that I need to get in there and start painting. It's so hard finding.
So you and Mark worked together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And he remembers the Fiat quite well, because when I got it was someone out there, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry to say. I believe he was from Italy, and he showed the old scale electric 850 coupe, and he had several of them. And I said, oh, I never knew Scale Electric had one of those. And I put up pictures of my car, and I said, I used to own that actual car. He says, I'm going to send you one of these.
Oh, man.
And I said, how much? He says, no, I'm just going to send it to you. He sent it to me for free. And then when Mark saw it, he says, you got to paint it red. Because he remembers the car. I drove it to work every day. So when we worked at the studios.
Wow, that's so cool. Now, are you still doing studio work? Or are you doing other type of?
I do when it comes along, but I don't really have to. So what I'm doing mostly here at this big old place is my own hobbies. Our masks sell a whole bunch, because I make masks from all different old TV shows and Star Trek and some stuff that I worked on. And some figures sell that I make. And, I've got one sitting right here. It's just from one of the first movies I worked on, called The Crater Lake Monster. And this head later was used on History of the World. Mel Brooks. So.
Oh, wow. Is that ever
There's not much light in here. It's starting to get dark.
No, it looks great, Steve. It looks great.
So, and that's a resin kit, but we have stuff like that. And then that was the one I left out, rocketry. I'm into high-powered rockets. I'm with the National Association of Rocketry, and we launched some pretty big stuff. But the rockets that sell the best for me are the smaller ones, like this one here, which is a V2 rocket. And this is a small one. I mean, the big ones tower over my head.
So
it's very scale. But this is very scale to the actual rocket. And this is a good seller. And then I've got, one day you have to come here. It's a museum. Another one that's very popular is the X15. In fact, right now I'm making up 6 of these kits. I should have my ring light here.
Steve, you can display that. Never mind firing it off into the sky.
Oh, it flies great though.
It's gorgeous.
And so I've got a few different ones. And so, a lot of times it's hard to get to my own work because my customers come first. And what I do on my website is that daily, as much as I can daily, I do what's called SNG Studio Shorts, and what usually a 4-minute little film. And like the one yesterday was showing me putting the hair on the mask. That was a mask from Star Trek, and also the rocket parts. And I show people, so customers can watch their orders being made. Because when they order, I always point out to them, it's just me making the stuff. So it takes me time, and I don't keep it on the shelves. They know that going in before they make a purchase. So it may take me a week, may take me 2 weeks to fill their order, but they can watch it being made on my website. Well, they love that because no one else does that, evidently. I mean, you know, and it's just fun for them. They write to me all the time and said to watch what they ordered being made, because they don't just get the product, they get to see how it got made.
Yeah, well, you get the journey of the item.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm doing that with the Cooper. I do a video every so often of the progress. The next one's going to be about. I think I'm on my 4th pass on the body.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, because you start with a basic shape covered in fiberglass and epoxy resin, and you point it up as best you can. But you want it to be out of solid material, so you make your first mold on that, produce a solid resin one, then you can do the panel lines, score it up, add the other details, then do another mold, clean that up even further, do a bit more work, and mold it again, and then mold it one last time. And that's the one where you do a casting and you leave it in the mold, of course, and you add the posts to it. You make sure the whole inside is nice and even, and then you pour your silicone inside of that and make it connect with the outer main mold, and now you got a core.
Right.
So you don't sit there sloshing them all the time, going like this, you just pour it up and every one comes out. You got the tissue thin areas for the opening, for the radiator, for the cockpit and all that. So that's the next mold I'm going to be doing. So then I have a production mold.
Right.
And I hate doing exhaust pipes. So I'm looking at the Scalextric Lotus, not Lotus 25, but the other one, 39. No,
What, the 49? You mean?
no, it's a formula car.
Yeah, you sure it's not the Lotus 49? Because I think that's the other Lotus that they've made recently, but it's got a Cosworth DFV in it.
Well, the pipes on the Jimmy Clark one I have.
Yeah,
it's
got
a V8.
two sets of pipes
Right.
in the V8. Yeah, yeah.
They look just like the Cooper pipes.
Oh, they're probably very similar, and all you need is one bank.
I'm going to make
right?
a mold on them.
Yeah.
Because mine are okay, but it's like, but those look so much better. Because it's really hard to do, and I couldn't get my friend to 3D print one. He said that it's just really hard. You'd be better off doing it with wire and stuff. And I tried it a few times, and it was okay. But however they did those, they look great. I don't think they'll mind.
No. No one's gonna hit you for a copyright on pipes.
No, I don't think so. So I have most of the molds for it now. And they know where to get the rims and the tires and the inserts from John Warren when it comes time. I ordered extra from him, and I plan to build one car complete and put that up for sale. Not for a lot of money, but just so someone can have it and enjoy it. I'll sign it and stuff, and just having fun, And then what I've got planned next, well, I really like that Ferrari 312. You're not on Facebook, so you didn't see the Goodwood video I put up of the 312, the Can-Am.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I never saw that car before. That is a beautiful car, the V12 engine in it.
Yeah. So
I'm thinking about maybe doing that next, and maybe the Z31, because no one makes the 300ZX from the 80s.
Oh, you know what? I think Monogram made a static kit in 132nd, but you're right. There's no slot car.
There's no slot car. I know they did the 280 and they did the 240, but I haven't been able to find the Z31. The problem with the Z31 is as many cars as they sold. In fact, it was the one that they sold the most amount of Zs ever, was that Z31. It was not as popular as the 280 and the 240. And most of them ended up in junkyards. People drove them into the ground by about 350 to 400,000 miles. They never done anything to them, and they just gave up on them. And a lot of them just got junked. There's graveyards full of them. When I first came up here 9 years ago, I would see one every day when I'd be driving around, sometimes several times a day, and I've seen in the parking lot. They were very abundant. I don't even see one now. That's not true. I saw a white one the other day.
Wow.
Only one I've seen in 3 years. So they have really disappeared. So consequently, the value is going up on them, the demand's going up on them, and people want them because they can't get them.
Right.
It's always the way. So maybe, somebody will beat me to it and save me the trouble of making it, because I don't think that's going to be an easy one to do. It's not all round.
No.
And even though I have the actual car, it's still going to be hard to get the cross sections right. I mean, George Turner could do it standing on his head, but I haven't done as much of it as he has. It's easier doing cigar shapes, or roundy shapes like, what's that Alfa Romeo I love so much? Drawing a blank on it. Rear engine, beautifully round. I got all the cross sections for it.
Rear engine. Oh, hang on. It's not the 33, is it?
It may be.
Okay.
Big sunken glass headlights.
Okay.
Drawing a blank on the name. They got a name for it.
Yeah, they did. What? I can't remember. No, it's not the Montreal, because that was front engine.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I don't
The
know my
engine's right behind you.
I don't know my Alphas as well as I should. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, it's gorgeous. I have found all the cross sections on it, and I mean, like, there's like 50 of them. So you get this beautiful contour. It's much easier to do than something like my Z, which has rounds and then sharp right angles, and it, I mean, I probably could do it, but it'd be kind of difficult. So, and then I have my Cooper T73, which is the first one I did. That turned out really well, but I'm going to retool it because I've learned so much since I first did that. And Chris Wright helped me with that. It uses one of his Bear Dog frames. Yeah. And that little tiny short can motor, which really performs.
Oh yeah, an 030 motor. Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah, and I get those from Canada.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah, it's Solar Botics in Canada.
Yeah, that's where I get some from mine. Yep, absolutely.
And who told me about that was AB Slot Sport in the UK. They have those motors. They're the same ones that Osterio uses on his cars. And he said, he sent me my money back. He said, I'm not going to take money from you. You should get them. You're going to cost me too much to ship them. Here, get them from where we get them from. That just blew my mind. He sent me a link. Okay.
That's brilliant. That's wonderful. Oh, geez. That's really, really cool. Oh, man. That's it. And then, so you also do a lot of Star Trek stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I worked on Star Trek. Ironically, I just dropped that on the floor. I just hit it. I worked on Star Trek. I went to, in high school, I discovered Star Trek when it aired.
Right.
And I loved it because for the first time, it was science fiction that sort of projected us in the future. It wasn't this sort of fantasy sci-fi stuff, which I never really cared for much. So I got very involved in my fascination with that. I got the books, all the stuff. I got the toys and hated them. Started making my own because theirs weren't accurate. That was the gateway for me. And little did I know that a few years after high school, I would come to Hollywood and end up working for and become friends with Fred Phillips, who was the makeup artist for the Outer Limits TV show and for Star Trek. And I got into the makeup artist union, and there was, I had done a makeup of a shaggy dog for a kids show, and but I couldn't do it because the union wouldn't let me do it because I wasn't in line to do that. Unions had this sort of seniority thing, and they said, you have to pick somebody. So I picked Fred Phillips, and he never forgot me for that because he needed to work. He hadn't worked much since Star Trek. And then when Star Trek got picked up as a movie, I get this phone call one day, and he says, you want to work on Star Trek? And I said, well, Fred, you playing a joke on me? Star Trek went off the air. No, we're making a movie. It's a new movie called Star Trek: The Motion Picture. And I went, really? You want me to work on it? I was 24, I guess. And I was just like, okay, yeah. And so I get down there, and we're in the same stage that they shot on, the same makeup room. And the first thing he asked me to do is he puts a pair of foam rubber ears that were unused from the TV show that were Leonard Nimoy's. He says, "Can you reproduce these exactly?" And I said, "Yes, I can." And that was my first job. And of course, Spock was always my favorite character. And I remember I was sculpting them, and I was stayed late, and the shadow blocked my light. And I look up, and there's Leonard Nimoy standing over me, and he says to me, "Are those my ears?" I said, "Yeah, they are, Mr. Nimoy." You know? I mean, I was just awestruck, right? He said, "Very nice." He said, "Do you know where Gene is?" From Gene Roddenberry, who I already knew from going to science fiction conventions. I used to talk to him all the time because I'd be selling Spock ears and things there. That's how they knew I could do the work too. That's why Fred got me in there, because Gene and his wife, Majel Barrett, they were familiar with me. So yeah, I got that was one of my first really great moments in my career, was being able to work on Star Trek, and work with Bill Shatner and get to know him and all the people. So so it was kind of amazing for me the other day to see Bill stepping out of Shepard after going to space. Yeah, I mean, I just thought, I didn't think, first of all, I didn't think I'd live to see that, let alone he'd live to be 90 to go in space. It gives you a certain amount of confidence that maybe you will live longer. Because look at him. He's not in a walker. You know, he's doing great. So it's been an amazing thing. And then I later went on to work on the 6th Star Trek picture, The Undiscovered Country. Did a lot of Klingons, background Vulcaneers and stuff. And also worked on the pilot episode of The Next Generation. So that was a lot of fun because I got to meet the cast and work with them. And they all were unknown to me. None of them were known actors. Right. So they, that was just Jonathan, and that was just Marina, and we were all buddy and working together really closely. But the coolest thing of all was that Gene gave me a pass, which allowed me to walk the sets without the security give me trouble anytime I wanted. He said, "Steve, for you, you love this and show, and you and your wife can come in here anytime you want, go on the sets." So I got to walk all through the sets, and they were beautiful. Up close and in person, they were very real. I remember going on the bridge, and the whole bridge was lit up. They were doing a test lighting, and there was this guy named Michael Kuda, who I later became friends with, but he was the chief designer for the graphics. He established those Kuda graphics, those graphics you saw with the lines, everything. And he was putting up the commission pack on the wall for the USS Enterprise. And there was a chair there, and it was really an amazing time. So some of my fond memories of my career. I've been doing lots of other stuff like Ghostbusters and everything, but I always liked that the best. And when people ask me, "Well, what was your favorite?" It must have been Ghostbusters, right? I said, "No, it's Star Trek." Star Trek? But Ghostbusters is so amazing. I said, "It's a job." Star Trek was meaningful to me.
Wow, that is so cool.
I never thought Ghostbusters would become as popular as it is. I get it now. I mean, I understand. And I'm glad, because it's a very positive, fun film. And it doesn't have a lot of bad things to say about us as people. It's just fun. And I hear the new movie's quite good. But I worked on the first, though. And
so did Mark, right? Mark worked on that with you as well.
I think Mark did. I mean, Mark and I worked on more than one project, but I'm starting to, it's kind of all blurring together. You definitely worked at Boss Films, and of course, but we did Fright Night there, we did Ghostbusters there, and we did 2001 or 2010, the year we made Contact, the alleged sequel to 2001, the greatest movie ever made to me. So, because that film had the most influence on me getting in the film business of anything.
From the perspective of
2001, The Space Odyssey. That's the one that really, really captivated me. And Kubrick, had a huge influence on me, Stanley Kubrick. So, and of course, I've done things like, I keep forgetting I can move this. You might recognize that.
Oh man.
That's a replica I made of the Star Child.
Wow.
Sorry, it's a terrible camera work. And over there is Moonwatcher. And this mask actually moves and the teeth snarl on it and all that. This was actually worn by Dan Rector, who played Moonwatcher in the film. He's the one that threw the bone up in the air, and he was the guy
Wow.
coordinated. He actually came here and put this on.
Oh, that's so cool. And you have a monolith too there.
That's a plastic model kit that Bob Burns gave me for Christmas one year. That was a lunar models kit I put together. And over here, it's backlit, somewhat awfully, but it's the space station from 2001.
That's, yeah, I was gonna say that's what it is.
It's a rather large model, and Adam Savage, who I know, got me involved in this project. There's a museum up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they needed a model of the space station to put on exhibit. And when it was all done, they gave it back to me. So not only did I get paid for doing this, they gave me the model back.
Wow.
Because I have some molds for this, but not enough to make another one. I'd have to work real hard to build one. And it's quite detailed. I can't reach, well, maybe I can reach it. That's right. I can unplug the laptop. I'm gonna make your audience all sick.
Oh man, look at that.
And here's the it's hard to get this just right with look at the screen and aim this.
You can see the lights. You can see the lights.
Yeah, the windows, and it turns. And this is the little.
Oh, the Pan Am shuttle. Yeah.
Yeah. I removed it because I almost poked my eye out on that. My friend Elliot Brown made this for me. It's all from scratch. It's really nice. I'm friends with Gary Lockwood, so I have one of these. Gary's been here to the studio several times. And of course, that's the Discovery. That's a plastic model kit. You can still get these. It's a nice model. It's got the full interior, though. I put the interior in, all the pods. I don't know if you can aim it, Steve.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah.
And then you can see Gary Lockwood sitting up there too, sort of, kind of, on this camera. So I have quite a shrine to 2001 because if it wasn't for this movie, I probably never would have got the film business. That and Star Trek. This model here, the Enterprise, I built entirely from scratch. It's all molded. So I made several for museums and for collectors, but this is the original first one that I built. And it's half scale to the one that they actually had in the show. And I was talking about the mass. I forget I have this capability. And this is from Outer Limits, Robert Duvall episode. This was the first pilot episode called, what's it called? The Galaxy Beam. It was the first episode. And then another one of their characters.
Wow.
And that's the Salt Vampire from Star Trek.
Right.
And this one people recognize, but still don't know why they recognize it, but that's from Star Trek also.
Right.
And it's just everywhere. Deadpool. I love Deadpool, so I made a Deadpool mask. The big rocket's in the way. This werewolf mask is very popular. It's Henry Hall from the 1932 motion picture Werewolf of London. I mean, there's just so much stuff in here. This Bill Shatner, this puppet that was used in the first movie. And I got hold of the molds and made up the casting for myself. I've since been given ownership of the molds, so I have sold these to a few collectors. And everywhere you look, there's the gun from Laser Blast, which is a movie I was in, played an alien, made the gun and all that stuff. Everybody should have an X-Wing, although I'm not a really big Star Wars fan, but this was given to me, so I built it, you know. I prefer this stuff.
And you have a red shirt.
Yeah, well, this is a crew T-shirt from Enterprise with Scott Bakula, and that's a hat from the show, and then he signed it to me. There's a
Nice.
lot of memorabilia in here. It's like Spock's ears from the first film that I worked on with the chevron that was on his uniform. Here's an actual first contact phaser rifle.
Whoa.
There's so much stuff here now. Everything lights up. Most of it's turned off right now. There's a Iron Giant head here, but the Iron Giant itself, I'm hoping our connection is working okay. I'm gonna open
Yes,
the
no,
door.
it's great. No, it's fantastic.
If you can see it okay on your end, it means we probably got oh, she turned it off. Okay, I'll have to turn it on. It's a big place. I filled it up really fast. Okay. Barf bags are not included. Anyway, this is the Iron Giant, and this is all scratch built. And Adam wanted one of these really bad, but I said, it's just going to cost too much money to mold it. It just, he's about 6'3", 6'4".
Right.
So he's a big guy. Not as big as the one in the movie, but I just always loved the Iron Giant. So I had to have a robot, so I built that one. This is the kitchen. Really interesting. Then out here, and are you still seeing this?
Because
we're on Wi-Fi.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Well, there's the Z. The
Oh,
Z31.
nice.
So this is where she roosts at night. I will not leave this car out on the street. And this is, the big work area back out here that's freezing cold at this time of year. And then upstairs there, top of the stairs, there's another entire room, the second story, and it's another model shop up in there. And I just finished this for a customer.
Was that the latest videos that you posted, Steve?
Yeah. It's the Salt Vampire.
Right.
And lots of projects going on here, parts for my customers, model kits of rockets. I'm building another submarine from scratch here, radio control submarine. It's built in several sections there.
Well, I never realized that they had radio controlled submarines.
Oh yeah, they do. That's a whole other story.
Oh wow! Now is that
it's
I was gonna say, is that your dirt track there as well?
Oh God, how could I forget the dirt track? All right, we gotta go back into
Sorry
the
about
freezer.
that. I saw it out of
Okay.
the corner. Oh
Yeah, that's it. It's not finished, but it will be shortly. I'm starting to put the ads up. I still need to put some. I need to build a pit for it. Area and put tire tracks and stuff. And of course, we have immense miniatures there. And Electric Dreams there. And slot car corner there.
Nice.
So, and this track runs so well. This Cheetah here was in a box with a whole bunch of cars from the 60s. And it's still got the original tires. And I don't even know who made this frame. I don't think it's a home built frame.
No, that's an AMT chassis.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've got a box full of this stuff. And it's got the original tires and everything on it. And it still runs perfectly.
Wow.
The original controllers. And the original.
So that's Revell Track then, is it?
Yeah. And it's got the original power supply, which I accidentally left on for 4 days and didn't know it. And it wasn't even warm. So, they built things back then to last.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's Rosie the Wonder Dog. Rosie, come on.
Oh, doll. What a doll.
Yeah. I made her a nest, a den underneath the slot car crack with a bed in it. She loves it. She goes under the checkered flags drapery that's hanging here. It has this whole little tent in there. So, okay, now I'm back here. Of course, I have Hal too. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I've done paintings too on 2001.
You did. Oh, wow.
That's the pod coming out of the Stargate. And
so
your show will be too long if we keep this up.
No, but I was gonna say, so you paint as well then?
Oh yeah. paint, sculpt, make, shape. If you know, this all came because when I was a kid, they didn't make things right. They'd always give us these model kits and stuff that doesn't look like the Enterprise. That's not what the communicator looked like, and so I would set out to make my own.
Right.
And one of the things that started me off with doing makeup, prosthetics, and creatures was I wanted to know how they did Planet of the Apes, and that makeup always fascinated me. And so I did some research, and as much as I could back in those days, and I made a life mask on my own face, which was dangerous. I sculpted the appliances, made them out of foam rubber, and made myself up as a Planet of the Apes, which caught a lot of people's attention back then because not a lot of people were doing that. So when I did come to LA, actually one of the first jobs I did was working for a brief period on the Planet of the Apes TV show, because they saw what I had done. They saw my prosthetics, and they thought they were really pretty good. But that film, because I loved it so much, I wanted to make my own Planet of the Apes makeup. So I learned the trade that way. And the same thing with models, and the same thing with props. And it all came out of the desire to want to make things for myself. Now it's just slot cars. I don't care about the movie stuff. Oh my God, look at that McLaren. You know? So you kind of go back to your childhood when you get older, and that's fine with me. You know, and I just love race cars. I get up in the morning with a cup of tea, and my addiction is Goodwood.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I watch, Lotus Cortinas beating Ford Oldsmobiles, and it from inside the cockpit and the back of the outside, and watching these really close races and stuff, and it's a great way to wake up. The headphones on, the sound cranked, the sound of those engines. I'm awake. So it's always been in my blood, So.
Well, that's cool. If you don't mind, I'm going to leave URLs for your website and your YouTube channel in the description.
You've been to my website, right?
Oh yeah.
What's it? It's Steve Neill's art, or Steve Neill's.art.blog. Yeah, that's the main site. We have the SNG Aero site and some other sites, but really that's the main hub, and you can get to all the other ones from there.
Okay.
And slowly but surely, I've been kind of migrating a lot of the stuff into the menu, because people aren't saying, well, where is this and where is that? So I'm putting it up there. All my films that I've made too, because I'm a filmmaker, are now located under Films by Steve Neill. The latest one has been nominated for several awards: best film, the short film, best sci-fi short, best acting duo, a whole bunch of stuff. I was really surprised because I didn't think people would like the film very much, and they do. So, okay, fine. We're going to make another one this year. So every year I make a film.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Very, very cool. Well, I'm just noticed that it's about time. It's about 10:30.
Yeah,
Perfect.
it is.
Well, listen, thank you so much for spending so much time. And
Well, I hope I didn't bore you too much.
Are you kidding? No, but hopefully we can do this again and a follow up.
Oh, well, sure.
Cooper and stuff. Yeah,
sure.
You don't mind. I hope. Yeah.
The thing to remember, the people that watch your show need to remember, is that all the things I do, from painting to sculpting to working in molds and making all applies to our hobby, the slot car hobby. And it's because I've done all these things in Hollywood and learned all these materials and working with everything from polyurethanes to silicones to epoxy resins, you name it. I've worked with it, know how to work with it, where to get it. When you go to make a slot car, it just makes it easy. Because you know exactly what to do, including how to free form the darn thing. So I use bulkheads and I wire cut foam, and you've seen that in the videos. Sure, I could 3D print it, but it takes the fun out of it for me.
Well, and it's not only the fun, but there's something about, I mean, that's one of the reasons I think the cars from the 60s have some sort of soul to them. They've been touched. By people.
They were hand tooled, whether they're carved out of clay and buffed down and molds made and metal molds, the way they did the Boxer Porsche at the museum I'm a member of. They have the molds to the Boxer portion. And it's amazing to look at them. I don't know how they got them, but they've got them. And it looks literally like they pounded metal into it to get the bodies. And it's amazing. But you're right. It has soul.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that,
It's
thank
art.
you. Yeah, thank you so much for the tour and everything. And
Oh, sure, John. Well, you've toured your place for us many times. I wish I could be up there. I
Okay,
love
cool.
your place.
Yeah, well, whenever, you know, it's kind of cold up here now, but you know, if it ever gets warm, come on up.
It's kind of cold here. It's not supposed to be. I can see the snow in the mountains from my window.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
California's got quite, Northern California got
Oh,
quite a bit
yeah.
of snow. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
well,
we're not
I guess
out of it yet. So you'd be right at home here.
right at home,
I think
exactly.
we have hockey too somewhere.
Are you kidding? You've got some great hockey teams.
Yeah, I
LA.
know.
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding? Good
Yeah.
hockey team. All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right, John. Thanks so much. It was an honor to be on your show.
Oh, it's an honor to have you. I really want to do this again, too.
Okay, you got it.
Thanks very
Bye-bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe.